And for me, it's a little scheduled hour section of exercise I do 3 times a week. And I don't do it on my own. I trap myself with a trainer that makes me show up on time. I'm not stupid. I'd never show up if it was just me saying, 11 o'clock, I'm going to go. I'm not. I'm going to do something else. But now I super look forward to, I know that's wrong, incorrect English, but I think it's a great way to put it. I very much look forward to that hour 3 times a week. It gives me something to do, and it's revitalizing. I have to have no answers. You know there is no place where I don't have to have an answer. I go home, my kids want help with statistics or physics, or I'm always. It's exhausting being a loving person in the world. It's exhausting. All right, so that hour I surrender to my trainer, and I'm very clear. I say thank you. I'm allowed to safely surrender my body to you. I haven't been injured. Severely, so I have a wrap my wrist. Okay, I'm not totally honest there, but not injured badly. So I'm able to surrender to somebody else. And from a person that's always the order giver, that's super important. Now, you might be someone else that only takes orders. So schedule your hour of giving them. I don't care who. So you're a dog trainer for 3 hours a week. I don't know, but something that you think allows some sense of balance to understanding, to your perspective of how you relate to other people. Now, these are just my experiences. I can be full of baloney to each person in this room, but I'm telling you my experience, what helps me. So I do that, and I look forward to that, and I think it's healthy for me. It allows me to surrender and not have answers. What I find with those that are caregivers, to bring this back, is suffering related to their lack of emotional or intellectual understanding of the circumstance they're in. Their circumstance could be one that developed over years, could be immediate. Whatever the case is, there's a lack of congruency between what they expect and the life they're living. And that is almost always the common denominator. So I start there. I don't even give an answer to my patients or their family. How do you understand the disease? How do you understand your perspective within it? And then I take it from what they understand. And much of the time, doctors get this all the time, patients come in expecting something from the medical field or the disease that is not rational. It's an expectation that can't be met. And if you buck against an expectation for a decade about what can't be met, like you expect your husband or wife to eat when they can't, or you expect them to get up and walk, or you expect them to have a conversation, at the end of an expectation in a day, you're mad. You have anger because expectations aren't met. So I'm not saying don't expect the world, but expect what can actually be delivered. And that congruency is very hard. I do not expect my 17-year-old son, regardless how more brilliant he is than I am, to have perspective on some of his feelings. Now, it'd be great if he had the maturity I had if somebody was mean or something happened to him, but he doesn't. He's 17. So I don't expect him to be anything other than 17. Now, I don't know what that is. It's a moving target, but I do my best to step back and say, he's not really an adult. I buffered most all his experiences. Similarly, I don't expect a 90-year-old to be who they were when they were 70. Look at who people are in the moment and expect from them what is fair of them. And then you won't resent it. And caregivers, that's the trap with codependency. Codependency, in the true sense of the word, back 20 years ago in the trends of codependency groups, is really a power play. It is a sense of control. People think that codependents are victims. Sometimes they are. Codependents, more than anything, are asserting power. And you do it in a passive-aggressive manner. And the way caregivers assert power is by resenting those expectations that they actually asked for. And that is a very complicated dynamic. So I say to you, if you are a caregiver because of circumstance, and it might even be a regretful one, it's very true. And you can't help it if the one you love has Alzheimer's and you are responsible for their care. But what are you going to do with it? And so then you have your community resources. Then you have your expectations of the disease. So you are expecting what is reasonable within the disease with communications with your doctor. And then you have time to yourself by asking yourself, basically, what do I want to do? That's the number one thing. If you're sitting in the room, I'll ask you one question now. And if it's hard for you to answer, you may be on that edge of codependency. And I'm not diagnosing anybody. We all have it. I'm no different. That is, if you're left alone in a room And you have the usual choices. How many have been alone in a hotel room on a travel trip or with family, and you just sit there because there's no one to do something with, and you say, well, what do I want to do? And you're like, I don't know. Well, do I go to the gym, or do I go down to the spa, or do I go down and have a Coke at the bar? You don't know, because you're only acting in a response to what somebody else needs. So ask yourself several times a week, what do you want to do? Don't judge it. Now, I'm not saying go out and that's where chemical dependency and a lot of things come in there, because you reject what you need so much that you don't do what you need, you escape. So if your choices are running away, you probably need a little help on that one. We all do that.